I wasn't always this way. I was the kind of guy who hated himself, who used to avoid mirrors. I would walk by them and never look into them. I was the kind of guy who was my number one hater. I was my biggest enemy. I was quick to shut down anything that anyone ever said to me that was positive. It doesn't matter if it was actually true, because I believed that it wasn't true. Oftentimes we think that we believe something just because it is true, but that isn't always the case. If you tell yourself a lie long enough, that lie becomes the truth for you. There was a point in time when everything flipped for me. There was that moment that hit me that said, I don't want to be this way anymore. I'm tired of this. There has to be some kind of way out. Because I was shrouded in darkness. I was in what old me would have called the abyss. I was deep in there. So deep that you couldn't see any light. And for a while, I didn't want help. I refused it. Even though I hated me and the situation I was in, I didn't want to change. I remember the day everything changed. I remember the day where I had that final mental breakdown that led me to doing the only thing that I knew of at the time. If we go back, when I was 16, I went into group therapy. And it wasn't by choice. So when I got there, I hated it so much. So much so that I was only there for one day. Never going back there again, I thought. But then a few years later, when I was 19, the only thing that I knew of to do is to go back to therapy. So I gave it another shot. During my time there, it was wonderful. It was a completely different experience. I had a completely different mindset going in. When I was there, I was very involved. Because I was finally, at one point in time, around some other people who knew what it was like to be in the darkness. And if we fast forward to the end of my time in group therapy when I was 19 years old, we had something similar to a graduation ceremony, where the people who were on their final day, they got to essentially just say their goodbyes, give a bit of a testimony, and wish people luck. Then at the end of it, you get a nice little coin with the butterfly signifying change on one side, and then the other side of the coin, a positive message. And as everyone got the chance to speak, not only when I left, but on other people's final day, they said something that really resonated with me. They said that I had such a positive impact on them to the point where they felt it was necessary to thank me. And at the time, I didn't realize it until nowadays as I reflect. That was my first taste of my purpose, of what I was actually called to do here, to impact people. I found that when I left, something was missing. I felt like a piece of me was gone. I didn't know what to do. I felt a bit lost again, but not the same kind of lost I felt before. As I look back, I realized that it wasn't necessarily about the group itself and getting help from the group. It was more of the fact that I had something inside of me, the ability to impact, to influence, but I didn't have an outlet. I didn't know how I could exercise that desire. And as the time went by, an idea came to me. I realized that I could impact a broad amount of people, a magnitude of people in a short period of time, all at once, if I just post online. Now, the old me would have never looked at me and said, yeah, this is what I'll be doing. I'll be posting online, impacting people, using my words to try to move people, using my words to help people to see the light that I didn't know existed. If you told old me that I would be doing what I'm doing today, I wouldn't have believed you. What do you mean I posted over 400 something videos? What? That's not me. I wouldn't do that. Post online, social media. That's dumb. Why would I ever post? It's funny because whenever we're going through the pain, whenever we're going through the suffering, those difficult times, we don't often realize exactly why we're going through it. And now I realize why I was in that abyss. Because if I never visited the abyss and lived there, then I would have never been able to impact those people in the group. They may have never gotten what they needed in those sessions, if I hadn't been into the abyss and felt like I needed to go back, and I saw some kind of change, some kind of transformation. Sometimes the best thing that we can do is to keep going, to keep walking on the path. Because what we're going through right now is necessary for some event in the future, whether it be to impact someone or to step into a new stage of you, to step into a new version of you that current you can't handle unless you go through the pain, unless you go through the struggle. Everything I went through was necessary. It led me up to each stage in my life that contributed to my transformation. If we fast forward a couple of years, I ended up moving down to Houston from Indiana. And my roommate, he was able to plant the kind of seed in my mind that sprouted into curiosity. We had a debate about faith, which was his standpoint, versus science, logic, the world, realism, which was my standpoint. And I never knew of God. And me telling you this isn't me trying to talk you into what to believe. This is just me explaining to you what happened in my transformation. The curiosity sprouted into me seeking to understand, seeking to know. And as I grew in my knowledge and understanding and my discernment, I realized that all the pain that I experienced, it's not for me. It's for someone else. And I came to the realization on this path, especially today, that if I don't keep going, if I don't continue to create content, if I don't continue to write, then those people who will stumble across it will never find that thing that helps them out of that hole that they're in. Because there's certain people that only I can reach, and there's certain people that only you can reach. So if either of us stop, if either of us step off the path of transformation, if we don't continue to improve ourselves, then those people who are counting on us, especially the people who are counting on us that don't even know they're counting on us, they will be cheated out of what we could provide. So us on this path, it's not about just us. It never was. It was about all those people that only we can reach. So if you need some kind of sign to keep going, to keep pushing, to continue down the path of transformation, then this is it. They need you. And without you, they may never transform. So I say all of this ultimately to tell you that you don't need any approval. That you don't need to wait for the perfect time. Because the perfect time is right now. There will never be an instance where everything just lines up perfectly. I used to have that kind of mindset that I needed to have this happen before I start this. I need to be in this place before I can do that. So whatever it is that's on your mind to do, do it. It doesn't have to be an enormous leap. All it takes is just one step, one habit, one action, 1 minute, 1 second of you taking action. If you just do that once per day, just once, then that 1 second, that 1 minute turns into 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour. There's only one way to finish a race. It's one step at a time. Back when I ran my first marathon, if you just look at the fact that you have to run 26.2 miles, you're gonna get overwhelmed. But if you can just break it down to where it's only 1 mile, 1 mile you have to run, just 1 mile. If you can break it down even further, I need to run to this crack in the ground. I need to run to this sign. Then you look up and you realize that you've been 10 miles in, 12 miles in, 20 miles in, and then you got to where you were working to. Break down that big goal, break down that big vision to a laundry list of things that you have to do every single day. If you do those things every single day, you can forget about the goal, you can forget about the dream, and you'll inevitably end up where you seek. So I'll end with this. If you are out there fighting for more, if you want more out of life, subscribe, and let's take this journey together, because I'm far from finished, and I hope you're far from it too. See you in the next video.